What's up, fans? It's Sean with F What You Heard um, podcast and YouTube channel. Back with another installment after last week. I'm just going to keep doing it, keep putting out this fire, telling you exactly what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear each and every week. So let's get right into it. So last week, instead of picking all the games, I chose like 5 or 6 games to pick. I was right on the money with all my picks. Some of them were highly contested games. Some of them were blowouts. Um, so the Arizona the Arizona game, I picked them to get up to Schneid, get their first win, against the lowly Cincinnati Bengals. And I did my rant last week on them. So kudos to them for pulling out the road win. The Green Bay Packers went into Dallas. Again, Dallas hadn't played anybody. They pulled off the win easily. Dallas started getting some garbage time yards and points. But just as I called it, and then the 49ers just smashed the Browns on Monday Night Football. We're going to get a little more in-depth with the 49ers a little later in the show. So let's just run down Carson Wentz. So he's been injured the last couple of years. He's rounding himself back into shape. So let's just continue to let this gentleman and let this quarterback get back into shape, get back to the way he was before we pass too much judgment on whether he's a bust, whether he's this great guy. Let's just get him healthy. Let the guy get healthy. Let him get settled. And then let's make a judgment. So he's rounding back into shape. Everybody wanted Tiger Woods after he came back from the surgeries and fusions of his back and da-da-da-da-da. They wanted him to come right out of the gate and win a major. That's not realistic. So let's not put the same expectations on any other professional athlete, especially one playing such a violent game. So let's just give him some time, let him round into shape, and then let's make a judgment on that. So that's all I got to say about Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's move to this other topic. So Teddy Bridgewater is playing really good football. I said I think he would do a really good job. Everybody said he's the best backup in the NFL. So under the tutelage of Sean Payton, in a great system, some good weapons, a good defense, we're seeing the old Teddy Bridgewater. So hopefully he can continue to do good things. In my opinion, he should stick and stay right there with the Saints. Great organization, great head coach. You go somewhere else, you think the grass is greener on the other side. It's not. So my advice to you, Teddy Bridgewater, stick and stay. In my opinion, Drew Brees probably only has another good maybe 2 years in him after he comes back from this one. So 3 tops, including this one. So we'll see. So, but I would just say stick and stay, and you'll be great. Great. Just take over the realm, or take over the helm there, and and just finish out your career there. So, the Washington Redskins. Woo! Daniel Snyder has been terrible for 20 years. Just terrible, awful. And I don't see any turnaround in the foreseeable future. So he doesn't want to change the name from the Redskins, which is very offensive to Native Americans and others. So he's overpaid for players, underpaid for quarterbacks, and he just has this albatross around his neck, seems to be, because he's just like a black cat, just terrible, terrible, terrible luck. He gets a decent quarterback in Alex Smith, and then he injures himself. So this dude, is, like I said, like an albatross, sled rock. Any bad luck, it's coming his way. So is he a bad guy? I doubt it. I don't know him. But he doesn't seem to be able to put the right people in the right position and get the right players in order to win. So I would say to Redskins fans, you need to pick it and get this guy out of there. And hopefully he'll turn over the reins and turn over the franchise. He's a billionaire, so he can find some other toy or something else to invest in, or just go and enjoy life. Because this part of his business acumen hasn't been paying off as far as getting the Redskins into the playoffs and into the Super Bowl and winning Lombardi. So it's time to move on. Time to pack up bags and get out of Dodge, Daniel Snyder. Let's go. Get out of here. So, as you can see, I'm a Steelers fan. And for the past couple of weeks, we've done an awful job is coaching. 5 turnovers in the San Francisco game. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we couldn't win the game. That comes down to coaching and scheme and everything else, all the intangibles. Couldn't get it done. Baltimore, the game was there for our taking. Terrible call on the hit to our backup quarterback, Randolph. And so where do we go from here? I've been saying it for 5 years. They're trying to schematically play some weird game with these jet sweeps and these weird, awful plays that don't go anywhere, that don't produce at this level. So, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and head coach, I can't say it enough. These guys need to go. They need to go right now so we can start a new coaching search right now. We're 1-4. It's not going to get any better. Going out to LA to play the Chargers. Probably going to take a butt whooping there. We're going to be 1-5. I maybe see us winning 3 to 4 more games this year. So we'll probably be, a terrible 5-11. Ugh. I can't even fathom that as a Steeler fan. It just turns my stomach, makes me want to throw up right now. So, Steeler fans, get on this bandwagon. Understand where I've been coming from for the last 5 years. And I got, I'm like Lion-O with the Thundercats. I got sight beyond sight. So, get with it. The Jets. Unfortunately, Sam Bradford has been out. I don't know whether the team would be any better with him. I don't know why they hired Adam Gase and got rid of Todd Bowles. We saw what Adam Gase was in Miami. Why the Jets think that this guy was gonna just turn the switch on and the Jets were gonna be some formidable team and win a whole lot of games. So I see them under his tutelage and under his watch maybe being a 500 team. He's not the answer. He is not the answer. So, unfortunately, so quickly, to me, it's time to move off Adam Gase. It needs to be like Duke, one and done. Get him out of here too. Yeah, I'm calling for a bunch of heads to roll, and it's justified. People just pick up these guys and think, oh, they did something. Oh, he's a good head coach. He hasn't shown that he's been a good head coach whatsoever in the NFL. So why would he get another head coaching job? It just makes no sense. I don't know. Ring up Lovie Smith's, find his number, call him. He's been out of the NFL for a while. Call him. He did a great job at Chicago. Maybe Jim Caldwell. Jim Caldwell seems to be, better. Marvin Lewis. They ran him out of, Cincinnati, but he did great. He did a great job there. Why didn't he get a call? I don't know, but some dudes just get chances after chances after chances after chances for no obvious reason. So, but let's move to this. So, it's been about 5 weeks. We're gonna look at some statistics, some categories, and just give you a quick rundown of a few things. I don't want to dig too deep into all the statistics, but I like this right here, an eye test. I like to see how teams manage stress, manage the game, mentally, whether they're making a whole lot of mistakes, penalty-wise, whether they got their head in the game, those types of things. That's what it's a straight gut and what I see. You can rely, to me, a little bit on statistics, but at the end of the day, you can't, go back to stats to teach a guy to have some intestinal fortitude, to teach a guy to be mentally tough, not to make mistakes. You just can't say, hey, look at this statistic and get better. It doesn't work that way. You got to coach people up. You got to give them a sense of, pride, or, you got to figure out a way to push their buttons so they don't make these mental mistakes each and every week. So they're not fundamentally sound like the Browns. They continue to make terrible penalties, terrible mental mistakes, and they're just not fundamentally sound. So you can't call on and look at statistics to make somebody fundamentally sound. But let's go. Let's hit these statistics. So, all right. So passing yards, I'm just going to hit you with the top 5. We got Patrick Mahomes leading the league. Then we got Matt Ryan, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, and Phillip Rivers. Surprisingly, Tom Brady and a couple other guys aren't. Tom Brady's 7, but he's surprisingly not in the top 5. Then you got horrible Andy Dalton at 6. Like, wow. Rushing leaders, you got the Swiss Army knife and Christian McCaffrey doing work in Carolina. Let's just keep Cam on the sidelines and let these guys keep doing what they do. Next, you got Dalvin Cook, Minnesota, number 2. Leonard Fournette, number 3. Nick Chubb, 4. And Marlon Mack, number 5. The top 5 rushing guys. Tackling leaders, number 1. You got that monster out of Boston College, Luke Kuechly. You got Blake Hernandez, number 2. Jordan Hicks, Joe Schobert, and Bobby Wagner rounding out the top 5 in tackles. So your sack leaders, Shaquille Barrett out of Tampa Bay, Myles Garrett, Cleveland, Mario Addison, Carolina, Clay Matthews out of the Rams. He's having a little resurgence after leaving Green Bay. And then Preston Smith, Green Bay. So those are your offensive and defensive, like individual leaders as far as stats are concerned. Let's hit up some team stats. So in passing yards, Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City is leading the league in passing yards, followed by the Rams, Falcons, the Cowboys, and the Chargers. So rushing yards, our team leaders are Baltimore, Minnesota, San Francisco, Carolina, and Indianapolis. The teams with passing touchdowns: Seahawks, followed by Baltimore, Kansas City, Dallas, and Tampa Bay. On the defensive side of the ball, points allowed per game, New England is leading with, and they play some scrubs. So naturally, this is probably a very easy category to lead in. They're leading the league with allowing 4.4 points per game. Next is Buffalo with 10.8. Then San Francisco 49ers. We're gonna get into them a little bit. I want to talk about them for a couple minutes. San Francisco with 12.8. Chicago Bears with 13.4. And the Minnesota Vikings with 14.6. Total tackles, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers at the top of the list. We had to tackle because we're so sorry. We letting a whole lot of people score a lot of points, and time of possession is in the other team's favor, so we're having to be on the field a lot. So yeah, we're gonna lead in tackles. Next, the Washington Redskins, followed by the Cincinnati Bengals, the Cardinals, and the Rams. Round out the top 5 in leading in tackles. Next, we want to talk about the teams that are leading in sacks. New England Patriots with 24 sacks, Carolina Panthers with 20 sacks, followed by the Steelers with 19, then the Tennessee Titans with 17, and lastly, the Chicago Bears round out the top 5 as far as sack leaders with team stats. So, last little bit of stats I want to talk about. The teams, offensive categories, and defensive categories. So, total offense, putting up yards per game, leading the pack are the Cowboys, followed by Kansas City, then Baltimore, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. Passing yards per game, naturally with Patrick Mahomes leading. You got the Kansas City Chiefs, yards per game, followed by the Rams, Atlanta Falcons, Dallas Cowboys, and Chargers. Pass happy league. So there you go. Rushing, surprisingly, San Francisco leads with 200 rushing yards per game, followed by Baltimore Ravens, with Mark Ingram doing his thing and Lamar Jackson. They're racking up a bunch of rushing yards. So next is the Minnesota Vikings with 166 per game. Dalvin Cook, healthy again, doing his thing. Glad to see that. Next, the monster, Swiss Army knife, Christian McCaffrey and the Carolina Panthers with 143 yards per game. And then the Indianapolis Colts with 142 yards per game. With Andrew Luck gone, Jacoby Brissett taking up the reins there. They said, hey, let's not put too much pressure on this dude. He's a really, really good, complimentary quarterback. Let's just not put too much on his shoulders. Let's run the ball. So we can see that's evidence in those stats. League leaders in defense, for total defense, New England, followed by San Francisco, Buffalo Bills, Minnesota Vikings, and Chicago Bears. Even though Vic Fangio's gone in Chicago, still got some studs on the D-line, centered around Khalil Mack. So, the Chicago Bears are back to being the monsters of the midway on the defensive side of the ball. Passing yards, New England per game is leading the pack. San Francisco, the Buffalo Bills, Carolina Panthers, and the Denver Broncos lead in passing yards, allowing passing yards per game. Let me get that straight. Allowing passing yards per game. Allowing rushing yards per game. At the top of the heaps, the Eagles allowing only 63 yards per game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 69 yards per game. The Rams, I know you wish you still had Ndamukong Suh, eating up double teams and letting Donald and those guys do their thing, but you weren't smart. You should have signed Ndamukong Suh. Now he's holding the middle of that D line down as he did in college with the Dolphins and everywhere else. He's been a stable run stopper monster in the middle. Yes, the guy had some questionable things he's done in the past while he was in Detroit, but they were a little egregious, but weren't too much over the top. So I can give him a pass. Seems like he's a model citizen now. So Rams, shoddy. After the Buccaneers, rush defense, the New England Patriots, followed by Seattle Seahawks, and then the San Francisco 49ers, rounding out your top 5 in yards allowed for rushers. So before I get into the picks for this week, I just want to talk about the 49ers right quick. They're 4-0. Kudos to them. They beat the teams that were in front of them and on their schedule. So I can't fault them for that. But let's just pump our brakes on the 49ers, being this dominant monster team, 4-0 the first time since 1990 something. Who really cares? Let's just delve a little deeper right quick about the 49ers. You saw that they were leading in some of the statistical categories. Again, kudos to them. But let's just look at who they played. All right? So week 1, they played Tampa Bay, whose record is 2-3. Week 2, Cincinnati Bengals, 0-5. The next week, they played my terrible Steelers. Their record, 1-4. And then they had a bye week, and then boom, they played the Browns, whose record is 2-3 as well. So the combined record of those 4 teams are 5-15. 5-15. They weren't beating the likelihoods of New England, Philadelphia, the Rams, the Chiefs. They beat a bunch of bums. They beat a bunch of scrubs. I say that as in a totality. I know everybody in the NFL are great players, but let's just call it like it is. They beat a bunch of scrubs. So let's just not, like Dennis, Green said, let's just not crown them. I want to crown them. Let's just not crown them yet. Let's just pump our brakes. In the meat of their schedule is a bunch of tough games. This coming week, they play the Rams. So let's just slow down. Slow down on San Francisco being such a great team. All right, so let's go over my picks, my 5 or 6 picks. I usually take a look at the schedule and try to pick out not the easy peasy games. The last week I did pick one, what I thought would be an easy peasy game, which was San Francisco, but I thought Baltimore would have beat Cleveland, but they didn't. So they came off a good win against Baltimore, so I thought Cleveland was going to put up more of a fight. But they are who we thought they were. So again, but I try to pick some maybe highly contested games, some games that can go either way. I know it's the NFL and any given Sunday, like 2 weeks ago. The teams that I picked to win lost, and the teams I picked to lose or to take the L, they won. So let's just get right into it. So Houston goes to Kansas City. Kansas City fell this past week to the Colts. Andy Reid is a great coach. You got another road team coming into Arrowhead. I don't see them losing 2 straight games in Arrowhead. Deshaun Watson has been phenomenal ever since he stepped into the NFL. It's just that he's been banged up. So if we can just keep him upright, I think this will be a really good game. Kansas City has been shown that they're susceptible to certain things. You bracket Kelsey, you take him out the game, and you play man. I don't know whether or not the Texans can capitalize on that blueprint or not, but we shall see. I'm picking Kansas City to win 28-21. All right. The next game, Philadelphia Eagles at the Minnesota Vikings, a game of 3-2 teams. Philadelphia had their bye week when they played the Jets last week, so they should be good to go. They play in Minnesota, who had some controversy and then bounced back with a win last week. So Minnesota's defense has been pretty good to start the year. The Eagles' defense has been pretty good. So again, they're both 3-2 teams. Carson Wentz has played well. So this is a tough game. I'm going to take the home team. I'm going to take the road team. I'm going to take Philly to win this game. I think Kirk Cousins is going to regress a little bit and go back to the old Kirk Cousins. And I got the Eagles winning. I say they win a tight game, 24-21. All right. So the next game, like I mentioned earlier, San Francisco's going to LA. LA has had a little bit of trials and tribulations. San Francisco's 4-0. And Los Angeles Rams are 3-2. There's been, again, controversy about the defense. They've looked a little scatterbrained back there in the secondary. I think they're going to get it together this week. And I think they're going to win against the San Francisco 49ers. I think it's going to be a good game. I don't know whether it's going to be, this game can go either way. It can be, a firefight and, they trading scores all game long, or it can be a tight game where, the defenses are showing up. Both of them have really good defenses. Nick Bosa and those guys on the D-line really got after Baker Mayfield and that offensive line. So I can see this game either being a shootout or a highly contested game. I'm going to go with a highly contested, low-scoring game. I think Goff and Sean McVay pull it out with a 20-17 win at home. 20-17 win at home for the Rams. Next, I'm just going to pick a weird game, a game of unknowns. You don't know who's going to show up, what's going to happen. We're going to pick the Atlanta and the Arizona game. So Atlanta's going out to Arizona. Atlanta has been abysmal this week or this season. And Arizona's learning how to win, learning how to play, figuring out what works, what doesn't work. So without further ado, I'm just going to say Arizona's going to win this home game. Kyler Murray and the coach are figuring things out. You got the stable Hall of Fame first ballot guy in Larry Fitzgerald. You got some weapons, David Johnson and some other guys. So I see Arizona beating the Dirty Birds easily, 20-7. And then lastly, I'm going to pick the Monday night game, Detroit Lions, a divisional game against the Green Bay Packers. The Lions have put up a really, really good fight throughout the first quarter of this season. They've done really, really well in some games, but haven't been able to pull off a couple games against the Chiefs. Wasn't able to win against Arizona. And so they go into Lambeau Field. Those guys, the Green Bay Packers, are high off the Dallas win, and they should be. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think it's going to be in the mid-20s. There's going to be some turnovers, some well-played offense, some well-played defense. I see time of possession probably being a little even. I don't see the Green Bay running game getting off to the way they did in Dallas. So I'm going to pick a 24-28 Green Bay win. I give them a little home field advantage. 28-24 win for the Green Bay Packers. But it's going to be nip and tuck for them. I see it coming down to the end. And I see them, stopping the Lions on a last-minute drive and keeping them from taking the lead and getting the win. So those are my picks for this week. And now, but not least, my 2-minute rant. Let's get it, baby. Carolina Panthers. Straight up. It's time to trade the grandma clothes wearing, non-dabbing, used to be dabbing, Superman has left the building, Cam Newton. Yeah, I said it. Everybody else should be saying it too. The fact of the matter is, he may have played his last meaningful down in the NFL. He looks like damaged goods to me. I mean, broke down, damaged goods. Maybe we should, or many people would have supported him a little more in this situation. Maybe they should have got North Turner or some better offensive mind a long time ago to help him. I think it's a little, too little, too late. Kuechly, he's one concussion out of being an NFL too. He's had way too many concussions. He's playing well this year. Hopefully, I wanted Pittsburgh to draft him out of Boston College, but they didn't. I don't wish any ill will to him, but he's like one concussion away from being out of the league himself. So I think they should just blow the whole thing up. I think Ron Rivera is a good coach, but I think they should blow the whole thing up. There was too much dabbing, and too much Superman, and not enough humbleness for Cam Newton. So now nobody's supporting him. I'm sure the regular folks that are around him. But the casual fan who thought he was a good player, who's turned off by all his antics and all of his craziness. He was just a nice, humble guy like he was when he came into the league, minus the droopy head face under the towel thing. He should have just remained, nice and humble. But I don't know, he may have some clowns in his camp, telling him to do all these weird and wacky things. So I don't see him on the sidelines like the other injured quarterbacks like Drew Brees and Ben Roethlisberger supporting the backup quarterback, because he may see the writing on the wall too. So I think Cam exhibited himself as a front runner. So when things are going well, it's all cookies and ice cream. But when things ain't going well, it's sour milk. So I don't like front runners. Other people may like front runners, but I hate front runners. Be a humble guy. I know you're excited about scoring touchdowns and getting first downs, but every first down, Cam Newton, you gotta, come on, man. You better than that. Celebrate every first down. Just go back to the huddle, get the guys. Let's go. You don't have to celebrate every first down that you get. Jeez. So, You don't see Tom Brady getting up. Yeah, he'll celebrate. He's excited because he wasn't scoring touchdowns at the magnitude that you were. He'll score a touchdown, whether running or passing, or running, I don't know, once a season. You were scoring 10, 11 touchdowns rushing per season. Give me a break, man. Just be humble. Get back to being humble. Yeah, run down, celebrate, tap your receiver on the top of your head, get a, fist pump if you throw a touchdown. That's cool. Supermaning and dabbing on everybody. That's why everybody was so upset. Stop being a front runner. So all the classy quarterbacks, you don't see them doing this nonsense that Cam Newton did. So you heard it here first. Boom. Cam Newton, trade or retire. That's what's going to happen. Thank you for watching. Till next week, like the videos, share the videos, check out the channel, tell your friends. Again, follow me on Twitter at Judgmental Mind. So appreciate the time. Much love.